Let's talk Thursday night football. Chris Simpson now joins us via the Incubator Coffee guest line. Good morning, Chris.
What's going on, guys? Good morning. How are you?
How you
Doing
doing?
good. Okay, I think they were trolling this week because the Thursday night game features the Texans at 6-2 and the Jets. Who wrote this script?
Not me.
I mean, New York, it's bad enough to be a New York sports fan in general when the Yankees got beat by the Dodgers. Now you're going to have CJ Stroud whoop your butt in town?
And that's in the Meadowlands.
Yes. Everyone come Friday morning is going to be completely hammered in New York
Yeah.
because of all of this BS losses they're taking.
Okay, Chris, let's start at the top of the mountain. And I don't know how I'm going to scale this thing, but I will. Wasn't this supposed to be? We talked about revenge tours earlier in the show. Wasn't this supposed to be somewhat of a revenge tour for the New York Jets?
Revenge. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I feel that's kind
Right.
of stretching it.
Yeah.
But look, they haven't been the team that many expected them to be. They're 2-6. That was the game they should have won on Sunday.
They should have won walking
Against
away.
New England. Against
Mhm.
New England. And listen, there's nothing else the Jets can do. Okay, they've made the trade for Devontae Adams when, in my eyes, they really didn't need to.
Right.
They fired a coach. They've done everything, and look at what's happened since they fired Robert Saleh. They haven't won a game, so that just kind of makes you say, was he really the problem, or was he the scapegoat? And I'm gonna lean with the second choice. I truly feel they just needed someone to blame. And also look at it like this, guys. Name a time when Robert Salah really had a roster to compete with.
He never had.
Yeah, exactly.
He never had a roster. He never had a roster to compete with,
Exactly.
which kind of messes things up for him. Because, and we said it. We said a couple weeks ago, and Chris was in tow with us. He was set up to fail from the beginning.
Yeah, he really was.
He was set up to fail from the beginning. And now you have a Jets team that's adrift, wondering what kind of identity they have, which they don't. That everybody was saying, and I don't include Chris in this statement because Chris is a very astute football mind. I heard all the Jets fans saying all we needed was a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Okay, you got a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Now what?
Yeah, exactly. But the Jets' identity, they're not establishing Brees Hall. I
Hmm.
remember saying before the season started, a healthy dose of Brees Hall
Yep.
was going to make all the difference, because the Jets still have that notion, and they believe this in their head, they that Aaron Rodgers can still win games with his arm. And come on, let's just be real. He's not the guy that we
Nope.
saw in Green Bay all those
No,
years.
Mm-mm.
no, unfortunately
Not
not.
even
It seems like
close.
a hockey step.
Right. And as the defense, I want him to throw the ball X amount of times. I wouldn't have said this a decade ago, but
Hmm.
I just think now he can only throw the ball maybe between 28 to 35 times at the most. If he throws over
Mhm.
35 times, they're going to lose. And I've been saying this the last couple of weeks. Look at when they played the
Hmm.
Tennessee Titans. He threw the ball, I believe, 30 times in that
Yep.
game, and they won because they
And they
grinded the
won.
game out.
Hmm.
Then when they played New England the first time on Thursday night, he threw the ball 26 times. That's actually the best he's looked all year
Yep.
long. But then
Yep.
after that, it just seems to really go downhill from there, because
Hmm.
against Denver, he throws the ball 42 times and he's sacked left and right. Then against Minnesota, he throws 3 interceptions, but he throws the ball 54 times. I mean, he didn't look bad in the Monday night game against Buffalo, but
Hmm.
The Jets they're a mess. MESS mess.
Mess. Exactly. There's nothing more, and you just said it a moment ago, Chris. There's nothing more that the Jets can do. This season this season's toasted.
Yeah, it is.
This season for the New York Jets is toasted.
Yeah, it definitely is. And just looking at all the quality competition in the AFC, I also said this before the year started. Where do you place them in the AFC? Because they're definitely not on the same level as Kansas City. Quite frankly, I don't think many are. Um, they're not better than Houston.
Nope.
Um, they're not better than the Steelers, and they just lost to the Steelers a couple of weeks ago. They're not better than
Hmm.
Baltimore. Um, and I mean, I
On
know
Monday night,
Miami,
as a matter of fact.
right?
Monday night.
And I know Miami has struggled, but Miami on their best day, the Jets aren't
Hmm.
better than them. They're not better than Buffalo.
Nope.
They're not better than the team they're going to see tonight in Houston. So, where exactly do you place them in the AFC?
At the bottom.
Basically,
That's the only place where I can put them because in the highlights that I've watched with the Jets since they fired Robert Saleh, they've given up.
yeah, I agree. Um, Especially on Sunday in Foxborough, because that was the
Mm.
game they had won, and they just let that slip through their
Yeah.
hands. And
Willingly. Willingly, wouldn't you say, Chris? They
yeah,
willingly
yeah,
let it slip through their
I,
fingers.
I'm a
and
I'm a New England fan, and I'll even agree with that.
and here's the thing: what more can Aaron Rodgers say? What more can he do?
Uh, Nuff and Ing for
He
both
can't
Yeah,
questions.
he can't tell the Jets faithful to RELAX relax like he did in Green Bay.
Nah, that won't last.
No, that ain't gonna
Trust me.
fly.
No,
Not in New
it's
No,
York.
New
that's not.
York.
Yeah, that's
It's
not
New York.
going. That's
It's
not
New
going to
York.
fly here.
No, it's New York. You're gonna get your tail end kicked if you try that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's another game I want to review with Chris Into because we didn't officially do our picks last week with Chris Into, but I am of the thinking that it won't be necessary because this is a clean sweep with all of us picking Houston to win tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Houston should win tonight. I mean, they come in injured, but I look at both teams. They're both great against the pass.
Hmm.
So I expect this to be a Joe Mixon game for
Same.
the Houston Texans. It's just tough to hear about what happened to Stephon Diggs, and I'm really
Yeah.
wishing him a speedy recovery. They're already without Nico Collins, so Tank
Yep.
Dell is really gonna have to step it up. But um, I just don't like what I'm seeing from the Jets right now. I like Houston.
Yeah, I like Houston also, and I think this is going to be a runaway, figuratively and literally, because
Mm-hmm.
um, like you said, Chris, this is going to be a Joe Mixon kind of game.
Hmm.
They don't have their two biggest weapons, but they do have Tank Dell. They got Dalton Schultz. They can use Mixon out of the backfield, and then you got C.J. Stroud, quarterback of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
The
Should be
fact is,
easy.
yeah, the
Well,
fact is, CJ is going to be probably the bigger thing going on because if you're running Mixon out of the backfield, CJ can set the screens up a lot easier.
hmm.
And the Jets have always had problems against the screens. Look how New England got most of their yardage after that blown call against. Anyway,
Yeah. Um. Let me pose this question because we also took a look at the Sunday night game with the Cowboys and the 49ers. We did a quick preview of that.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't the Cowboys, and I'm asking the whole panel this question, I never got a chance to do it on Monday. Why couldn't the Cowboys stop that third quarter San Francisco Avalanche? Chris, I'll begin with you.
I just think the 49ers made key adjustments at the half. That's what football comes down to. Who can change it up, because Dallas looked pretty good
Yeah.
in the first half of that
Yeah, they
game,
did.
and then they took their foot off the gas. The 49ers went back to the basics. They ran the football. Dallas has been struggling to stop the run, and they kept running it until Dallas could do something about it. But
No,
the one thing that just concerns me about the 49ers, they can't hold a lead.
Right.
not only that,
Right.
not that the
They-
Cowboys have no run game to speak of for themselves.
No, they
It's like
don't,
if
which
you
is
can't stop the run, you
very
have to match
surprising.
it. It's like if you can't stop the run, you have to at least match their run prowess with yours.
And they can't.
And
They
they
can't.
forced Dak to become one dimensional again.
I think the Cowboys are either next to last or last in the league in running offense. Meanwhile, you got San Francisco, even though they're down to their rookie, Isaac Guerrero out of Louisville, they're still the third or fourth rated running offense in the NFL,
Because
which
the offensive
goes
And
back
that's
to the
what
sinister mind of Kyle Shanahan and company. They want to run the ball down your throat, which was the premise of the West Coast offense when Bill Walsh created it in 1980.
yeah.
And that's the thing about the 49ers. It doesn't matter who it is. They're going to plug anybody back in the backfield, and they're going to run the football.
Now they get a chance to rest. They get a chance to get some key pieces back. And, Dietz just said in the green room, we killed ourselves with penalties in the first half, 7 of them, 7 penalties in the first half. But yet the Cowboys allowed San Francisco to get a field goal to cut it to 10-6 with the Niners getting the ball to start the second half, which they promptly marched down the field and turned it into a touchdown. And we were off to the races after that. Now the bye week for San Francisco, they get a chance to heal. There's lots of rumors flying around that McCaffrey may return for week 10, which is a trip to Tampa Bay. That's going to be huge, especially in the red zone offense for San Francisco.
Most definitely. And he helps open up the offense. He puts a lot of pressure on a defense because you have to account for him not only as a runner, but as a receiver as well. He's truly the closest thing I've seen to LaDainian Tomlinson. They have that very similar skill set to where he can run it, and he has over 100 yards rushing. He can catch the ball out the backfield, score a touchdown as a receiver, and he has over 50 yards receiving. Then he could even throw it as well.
Yep. Talk about the emergence of Isaac Guerrero, and I mentioned this name earlier. Their rookie running back out of Louisville. He's really stepped up in the Thursday night game against Seattle and the Sunday night game against Dallas. He's really stepped up in the absence of Jordan Mason, who's out with a shoulder injury. Guerrendo's really been plugged into this offense.
Yeah, he really has. It's all about the next man up, Brian. He's come in and he's bought that hard-nosed running style that the 49ers are known for. That's their blueprint. This is their bread and butter. They want to run the ball. They want to be physical, and they want to get downhill. And he provides that.
He really does. And he's smart, too, because in the Seattle game as well as the Dallas game, when the Niners sealed the game, he didn't go in the end zone or go out of bounds. He slid to make sure he kept running.
I saw that.
How smart is this kid?
I saw that. Very, very aware. That's what football comes down to sometimes. It's just outsmarting another team.
Trade deadline is coming up on November 5th. Who needs to make a big splash and who's available?
I want to see the Lions and how they can temporarily replace Aiden Hutchinson because, look, as much as the reports are saying that he could be back by the Super Bowl if they make it, I wouldn't do it. He's young.
Wouldn't either.
Yeah, I would just take his helmet from him and I would say, listen, we know you're itching to get back there, but we'd rather have you healthy for the long term than to get you rehurt and then you're out longer.
Or it could be career ending.
Bingo. So they really have to be smart. He's the face of the franchise for them.
He is.
Yeah, so I would say the Detroit Lions and maybe Max Crosby, but it depends on what the Lions would give up to get him.
And I know I'm being a total homer and I'm half asleep when I say this, but could San Francisco be in play for Max Crosby?
That's a possibility. Or why not bring back somebody who's familiar with the 49ers? Why not trade for a guy like a DeForest Buckner?
And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that I'm hearing is that the 49ers are gearing up to bring back DeForest Buckner to that defense. should they pull the trigger? And you know how the 49ers operate. Everybody on this panel knows how the 49ers operate. They swoop in at the last minute because 2 years ago, Christian McCaffrey was set to go to Buffalo.
Mm.
And then John Lynch made a phone call at 11:59 and 59 seconds and snatched up Christian McCaffrey. What would it take for the Niners to bring back DeForest Buckner or to bring Max Crosby or, dare I say, both?
Dr. K not killing you?
Yeah, why not? One thing I will say is the 49ers should have never let Eric Armstead walk. I think they'd
Agreed.
be in a much better position defensively if they didn't let him go, because he was a big part of what they did. I always said San Francisco had a big three on defense, obviously starting with Nick Bosa.
Yep.
Then you had Eric Armstead on the other side, a guy who really benefited from the presence of Bosa because of all the double teams he commands. And then Fred Warner, who I think is the best linebacker in all of football right now.
Oh, Fred Warner. How can y'all not love Fred Warner? And it's so much fun to watch him play. Coming up against the break, but what would it take? I'll leave you with this question: what would it take for Frisco to land to bring back DeForest Buckner?
Probably some draft picks. That's probably what'll do it, because the Colts are kind of in a little bit of that rebuild right now. They're a young team, so yeah, those draft picks. See what you can get back for him. He still has some value right now.
Mm-hmm. That's Chris Simpson joining us as he does every Thursday, previewing Thursday Night Football and talking stuff before the trade deadline. Do the Niners make a move for DeForest Buckner or Max Crosby or both? Stick around and we'll keep you updated. Chris, always a pleasure, my friend. We love you, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Thank you, guys. Looking forward to it. I'll see you then.
And I'll see you this weekend. We got to pick a game to do again, man.
Yes, we do.
And I think I know which one it's going to be. We'll talk about it after the break. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.